What do you love about Texas?
Man, it's so, each part of Texas is so different, whether it's the Panhandle to that. Uh, it just has so much history to me. It has this rebellious spirit. It has this sort of, you know, mythical feel for me. It's like, and it's built with these stories into it, and there's great mystery to it, and great history and culture and things like that. So I was drawn to that, and never thought I was gonna. I grew up in Washington, outside of Washington D.C. I grew up as a kid as a Dallas Cowboys fan. Around a lot of Washington Redskins at the time. They changed their name now, but I never thought I would be in Texas. So it was really cool. And my wife's from Texas. And then, so when I was there, one of my clients at the time, Texas Monthly and other magazines, sent me every parts of the state. I was like, at one point, I traveled like 5,000 miles in like 21 days to do like 18 shoots or something. And it's really interesting, especially as an Asian American in different parts of Texas. It's really neat. Kind of like you kind of get the feel of it, but with every like oil rig or nodding donkey or abandoned gas stations. But then you'll get this metropolis for each of Houston to, Dallas, Austin, but then you have these great towns that just had, these great cowboy hats and things like that. So I just loved my time there.
So you originally wanted to shoot the film in Texas, correct? But the tax incentives were better in Oklahoma?
Exactly, yeah. So I initially wanted to shoot outside of Fort Worth, Texas. But unfortunately, because of the finances and the tax incentive, we went 3 hours north and shot in Oklahoma, outside of Oklahoma City in Hera, Oklahoma. But we had a lot of cast and crew from Texas as well that came up from there, and had a lot of great Oklahoma crew as well. So, but one day I'll make it down to shoot in Texas.
How does your love for Texas seep into your films?
Maybe subconsciously, I think, of the way how it seeps. I don't know if it was like, I think, again, it was just my time because the work, specifically All Roads to PEARLA, is set in Texas. It was more of my ode to my time there and the things that I was experiencing on the road as a traveling photographer of different assignments. I would meet all these people with all these faces, and I didn't want that to end. One assignment that really had an impact was sex trafficking in Houston, and that left a pretty big imprint on me. And I went down there. They were like, "Hey, man, could you do this assignment? It's down near Houston in Harris County. There's about 80 massage parlors in a 2-mile radius, and then but they're illegal. They're brothels and things like that." So I would then next 4 or 5 days later, I found myself in a parking lot, sitting in a sheriff's car about to go on a raid, and we get on and we get in, and just what I experienced, it's like the underbelly of life in the world, and it was just pretty interesting, and then I had other assignments about like exonerees. So I was always drawn to human interest stories that were really maybe, they're not happy, but it's happening, that's out there. And that's what gets me kind of intrigued, because of these, we all can't be, living such a privileged life. Everyone's got their own struggles. So I was able to see that, and my duty was at the time to visually capture that. But I wanted to write stories about people who are flawed. That's, I guess everyone does that, but specifically at the time, Texas, you know, it really seeped into the storytelling because I was on the road there a lot.
Yeah, that's, I think, what also Charles Bukowski talked about. Just like he'd worked so many of these odd jobs, and he felt that the stories of the working class really seeped into all of his writing because that's who he was around. You know?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like, that's why we were talking before. Well, how do you get by? You live, you know, I was out of school. I was 22 and I was writing at the American Bankers Association in Washington, D.C. about banking news. I did it for 3 years, moved to New York to try to play music, moved to New York and never played music again because I was 25 at that time because I found the camera and I got obsessed with the camera. And then, you know, I worked as a floral assistant, busboy, delivery person, anything. And once I told my mom I wasn't going to, I'm actually applying for a busboy position, she was like, "What? Oh my goodness, what are you doing?" She was like, I was like, "I just need a change, you know." And then, and that led me to waiting tables. You meet so many different people. Then you know, just all different types of jobs I would try to do. And that's how you get stories. That's because you lived it. You see it. You see interesting folks, you know. And then it's much better. Then you kick in the daydreaming, and then you have some sort of idea of what it is in that type of world, you know. Like, I still remember being in that parlor and seeing, well, you know, the women that were just trapped there, and these guys, and all I could smell is like lotion. And, you know, these things, it's just stick with you. You know, I'm very visual, but the sensory of smell and place and these confines, and then you're in a prison or you're doing other things. There's life is definitely interesting, you know, and I think that's what I was, you know, trying to explore with the stories I want to tell.